Good evening and welcome to Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice. And
I am Alfred, Ocansey.
The news is also live on Ocansey 107.1 FM and around the world at 3news.com. You're also streaming live on Facebook on 3FM 92.7. Coming up in the next 1.5 hours, NDC points out what it says are discrepancies in total number of eligible voters announced by Chairperson of Electoral Commission, Jean Mensah. We have the fallout from today's IPAC meeting. Also
this evening, former Chief Justice Sophia Kufo commends organized labor over the stance it took on the controversial Snake Hotel saga. She says the involvement of Agric Minister Brian Champon in the deal amounted to conflict of interest.
Coming up later, Member of Parliament for Sege Christian Otute vehemently opposes Joint Parliamentary Committee report on Songo Salt mining lease agreement. We'll bring you details of that as well.
Also here on your election command center, we have updates on what's happening ahead of the NDC national campaign launch in the Northern region. We'll give you an update of that shortly here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Also, Information Ministry justifies 151,000 cedis paid to staff as COVID-19 risk allowance. We have details of that as well on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale, and live on W93.5 in Wa and beyond.
For now, though, Benedict Safwa-Boahene is here with a summary of the news.
And that's right, Beatrice. And on to our first story. Students of colleges of education will know their fate regarding the ongoing strike by their tutors as the National Council of the Colleges of Teachers Association of Ghana, CTAG, convenes an emergency meeting today to deliberate on the way forward after meeting with government. Last night, the government, represented by the Education, Finance and Employment Ministries, met the leadership of striking tutors in an attempt to convince them to return to the classroom. Member of Parliament for Medina, Francis Xavier Sosu, has questioned government's commitment to introducing a bill on paternity leave and extended duration of maternity leave. According to the MP, it is only a political gimmick by the NPP government, as it is not committed to ensuring the passage of such bill. Member of Parliament for Sege Christian Colite Otute is vowing to deploy every means at his disposal to halt the adoption of the Joint Parliamentary Committee report on the mining lease granted to Electrochem Ghana Limited in relation to the salt mining in the Ada Songo Lagoon. The opposition National Democratic Congress says the decision to launch the 2024 campaign in Tamale is a challenge for the region to vote massively for the NDC in the 2024 general elections. According to the party's Deputy National Communications Director, Godwin Akogan, a vote for the NDC in December is a vote for a return of massive infrastructural projects in the north. He was speaking ahead of the party's campaign launch in Tamale on Saturday, July 27. And on to our last story, managers of laboratory facilities in public hospitals have asked government to facilitate and conclude negotiations on their conditions of service without delay. According to them, the delay amid the current economic conditions have impacted on their meager remuneration. And this brings us to the end of our news summary segment. Over.
Thank you very much, Benedict Safwa-Boahene. Let's bring you details of our stories today. And the Electoral Commission has come under a barrage of criticisms following figures it put out last week on the number of valid voters on the electoral roll. Jean Mensah, while in Parliament, mentioned the total number of eligible voters as 18,681,366. But the opposition NDC says the figures are inaccurate. First, take a listen to Jean Mensah.
Of the 23-day exercise, we registered a total of 778,447 new voters, exceeding our original target of 623,000. Of the 778,447 persons who registered during the 2024 voters register, 63.68% use the guarantor system, 36.28% use the Ghana card, while 0.34% use their passports to prove their citizenship and age. Distinguished members of Parliament, the total number of females registered in 2024 sum up to 408,332, constituting 52.45% of those who registered in 2024, whilst male voters amount to 370,115, constituting 47.55% of the total registered in 2024. Additionally, the number of 18 to 21-year-olds whom we classify as the Commission as first-time voters added up to 646,884, constituting 83.10% of the 2024 register. As I mentioned, we classify the 18 to 21-year-olds as first-time voters. The number of transfers add up to 334,073, and the number of proxy voters add up to 232,000, and the number of proxy voters add up to 2,364 voters. Distinguished members of the House, I'm pleased to note that the total number of valid voters on our register to date adds up to 18,681,366. That said, it is important to note that all these figures mentioned are provisional, and they may change, although it may be very insignificant after the mop-up exercise and after the exhibition exercise later on in August.
And that was EC Chair Jean Mensah in Parliament earlier. But at an Inter-Party Advisory Committee IPAC meeting today, Deputy Director of Elections for the NDC, Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer, challenged the figures given earlier. We'll bring you the Deputy Director of Elections statement at that IPAC meeting today, which ended this afternoon. But we have Wisdom Safo in the studio with us. He's with our research desk. Wisdom, you've been looking at the EC figures. Just give us what they say.
Oh, okay. So if you look at the EC's figures, and if you go to their website, in 2020, the total registered voters were 17,027,641. Now, fast forward 2023, the EC registered an additional 910,996. Now, coming down to the just ended voter registration in 2024, as the EC presented in the Parliament of Ghana, he said, they have registered 778,447 voters. Now, if you add everything up, from 2020, 2023, and you add up 2024's figure, you are expected to get 18,717,084. I'm repeating it again. If you add 2020...
So that's the 2020 total valid voters?
Exactly, from EC's website.
Okay.
You add it up to 2023 registration, the registered voters for 2023, to 2024, you are expected to have a total of 80,717,084. So let's look at what Jean Mensah presented. Jean Mensah said we are expected so far that people that have been registered on our register, the voters register,
eligible voters
are 18,681,386. So let's deduct that figure.
366, actually.
366.
Yes.
Let's deduct that figure from what we should expect. Adding up all the total registered voters for 2020, 2023, and 2024. Right. You subtract it, you realize that you have a difference of 35,718, which is less. So it's less, 35,718 less than what is supposed to be.
Per their own data.
Their own data. Yes. So that's why the opposition NDC are raising concerns about.
So it means that what Jane Mensah announced in Parliament is lesser than what it's supposed to be.
Yes, it's lesser. 35,718 less.
I see. So you are just adding the 2020 and then what?
2023
registration in 2023, and then the limited voter registration in 2024.
Yes, recently.
Okay. Yeah. That clearly gives us a good
exactly.
picture, doesn't it?
So he had 18 million and over 700,000, whilst Jean Mensah had 18 million and some 600 plus.
Yeah.
We have on the line with us Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer, who is Deputy Director of Elections for the opposition NDC. Good evening to you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, dear. How are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you for asking. So you challenged the figures of the Electoral Commission actually at this IPAC meeting. We've done our own fact-checking based on the figures the EC has put out on its website and recently announced as well. What figures did the NDC come to when you did your own calculations? The reason you challenged the figures given by the EC chair in Parliament?
Very well. They changed figures based on their own figures, not that we brought figures there. We think she announced she appeared before Parliament. Don't forget, she announced that they registered 18,690,000 plus of you. Right? That's what she told them in Parliament.
What she mentioned was, I beg your pardon, what she mentioned was 18,681,366. That's what she mentioned in Parliament.
That's what she mentioned in Parliament. Then she went further to say that this year, the registration they did, she registered 778,441 applications, right?
This number she gave was the total. She mentioned those registration figures and then said, so the total we have is this number, which I just read to you.
Good. So that's what I'm telling you. Now, if you look at the registration that they did, the first registration was in 2020. And the 2020 register is appearing on their website. You go to their website, you will see that they've posted 17,027,000 plus on Q figures on the website. Then in 2023, they did limited registration where they registered 910,996. So if you add these two figures plus this year, the 2024 limited registration of 778,000, you are going to arrive at 18,717,000. So it fell short of what she announced in Parliament. She announced 18,690. So that means there's a shortfall of 26,000 plus. That is the basis on which we're challenging them at IPAC.
Okay, you did challenge the Electoral Commission at IPAC. Like I said, we've also done our own fact-checking. We arrived at certain figures. What response did you get from the EC concerning this?
Yes, very well. The EC, they said, well, they want their IT department to come and we interrogate the figures at next IPAC meeting. Clearly, they could see that there was a challenge with the figures because these figures are their figures. And they change them out on various platforms. And so these three figures did not come from anywhere. It came from them. And then so we're telling them that these are your figures. And the initial one, they tried to explain that of multiple registration and then exception list. But clearly those things doesn't form part of a register because those people don't vote. As soon as your name appears on multiple register, you are taken out from the register. And then exception lists are dead people and people whose challenge were successful during the registration period. So they don't form part of the register. So when you are giving people the total register, you don't add them because they are not part of the voting category. And then they say, well, that one they should. And then they get the IT department to come and then we look at the figures again and see where the problem is. Because clearly, if you look at the 2020 register, which is the 17 million posted on their website, did not include any multiple or exception list. Same as the 910,000, which we did. In fact, we did adjudication on it, and the adjudication, we didn't have figures more than even 100 people on multiple registers. And this year, we did another adjudication. We didn't get even up to 100 on multiple. And so clearly that couldn't be a basis for this discrepancy.
So
something somewhere is not adding up.
Dr. Computer, did you get or what from what you're saying? Are you should I take it to mean that the Electoral Commission, when it was given their response, let's say the boss Jean Mensa did not even understand why there were discrepancies in the figures? Is that what you're saying? Is that what you got from the
Madam Jean Mensa was not there at the meeting today. It was Dr. Bosman who presided. And then Dr. Bosman gave us the assurance that the next one they will get their IT department to come and respond to this. Because clearly on the face of it, they themselves realized that the figures were not adding up.
Figures were not adding up. Would you say that the the NDC as a party is satisfied with this immediate response from the EC to you?
Of course, we are saying unless the IT department comes, that we are just going to take it like that. They themselves have seen that there are problems in the figures. Because in fact, all the department heads were scrambling to get hold of it because they realized that something was wrong. And we said, we made references to their own listing. It isn't that the figure is coming somewhere. It is their own figures. So if you put your own figures together, you are not getting the right thing out. We should be questioning you. Because these three figures emanated from you. So if it emanated from you and you cannot get 18,717,000, then you are putting 18,717,000. There is something wrong with your attitude.
So Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer, I want you to hold on because we also know that Dr. Sribo Kweku gave some response whilst you were there. I want us all to listen to that response and then we'll come back to our conversation.
Very well.
The NEC says they still have concerns over the numbers of the Electoral Commission as presented in Parliament by the chairperson. Is there a reaction from that? I understand the Commission agreed to rectify the difference.
But I don't have what I know is that in 2020 we raised just above 17 million. Then 2023 we said 910,000. And the reason why we raised around 770. So if we put the figures together, that should give an idea. But we should also bear in mind that because of their provisional nature, we are going to do the challenging issue, which will take some names off. The multiple ones will also take some names off. But these are all provisional figures. So you can do the summation yourself. 17 million plus 910,000 plus 770,000. If you put them together, you should have.
So you heard that the Director of Training and Development at the Electoral Commission, Dr. Sribo Kweku. We still have on the line with us Deputy Director of Elections for the NDC, Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer. Doc, so you've raised your concerns. The Electoral Commission has told you that it is going to work on this. What is the next step for the NDC?
Our next step is to make sure that the right thing is done. These figures are like Dr. Sribo rightly put, there are issues with it. Because the figures are put out there, there are issues with it. If you announce to Parliament that you've registered 18,690,000, and then we will take it as these are the people who are supposed to vote, because that is the registration. But don't forget, the issue of this challenge as done before the total figures are come. Because when you are given a provisional register, you don't add those things. But you come out with the figures that these are the people who are registered. Are you going to tell me that in 2027 this was what happened? And in 2020 registered, the 17 million out there. Does it include? I'm so happy you also mentioned the same figures as we brought them. The 2023 and the 2024. We are saying that from them, they said these are the total people registered. They didn't classify them as within that registration figure that you quoted, included this and this and that. If you had made that categorization, we would have gone to interrogate how many people were challenged, how many of them were successful, right? And how many people were adjudicated at the national level. Because he knows I was part of the committee with him where we adjudicated a figure which is not up to 100. And so in terms of adjudication, I know the numbers we adjudicated on at the national level. So if they are talking of challenges, then they should come clean and tell us how many people were challenged and how many were successful. And then we cannot come. That's why we are saying that it appears they need to do more to get the IT people to let us understand and they themselves to understand some of the figures, because clearly multiple registration and then exception list doesn't form part of the final register. They know it.
All right, we'll have to end it here. Thank you very much, Dr. Rashid Tanko Computer. He's Deputy Director of Elections for the opposition NDC. Let me let you know that we'll also be engaging the Director of Elections for the NPP, the governing party, Evans Nimako. As soon as we connect to him, we'll bring you that conversation.
Well, Remenio Election Command Center will build up strongly to election 2024. Some 22 minutes after 5 here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. We're live on Kesmi 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, and also on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. Stay with us here on your Election Command Center. But while we're at it, a former Chief Justice of the Republic of Ghana, Sophia Akufo, has commended labor unions for fiercely opposing the move by the management of the Social Security and National Insurance Trust, SNIT, to sell 60% stake in 4 hotels to Agriculture Minister Brian Champon's Rock City. Asked earlier by me in that exclusive interview that we're going to be airing shortly, she indicated that had it not been for the resolve of Labour and also the Member of Parliament for the Northern constituency's efforts, the nation would have had that all these stakes sold to Rock City, which in her view was not the right thing to do. It flies off in the face of conflict of interest. Conversation recently about the botched SNIT Rock City deal. Well, it didn't go through, but then again,
God bless the unions.
The labor unions.
Yes.
You were irked about it?
Irked about what?
The entire
transaction, the purported transaction.
Yes.
Yes, of course. Conflict of interest is conflict of interest.
And they say there's
you
no
can't be the judge and you can't and the jury. You can't be the lawyer and the judge. You can't be the litigant and then you are also sitting, after you've given your evidence and everything, and it's time. Your lawyer has done the submission and it's time to determine the outcome. Then you're now going to go and sit among the jury and you are part of that.
But the Agriculture Minister says there was no conflict of interest.
Conflict of interest is not defined by the individual. And sometimes, yes, conflict of interest when you're managing standards, it's part of performance standards. And when you're managing those are called ethical standards. When you're managing ethical standards, sometimes it is simply perception. Will a reasonable man in the street, in law school we would say, will the reasonable person on the Latebi Okoshi bus, they don't have Latebi Okoshi buses anymore, but will the reasonable person on the Latebi Okoshi bus, if you were to tell them of this, what will they say about it? And if you can surmise that they will say, sir, that it smells, then it smells. And when you're a public person, just because there's no law that says you cannot do it, does not mean you should do it. Even in the Bible, it says, I can do all things, but not all things are good. Not all things are good.
But even SNIT justify it.
Oh, don't mind them. Of course they will justify it because they have run down the hotels, and just like in the public sector, a lot of public properties have been run down just so that the values will be run down, and always at the end of some cycle or the other, they do sweetheart deals and do distributions among themselves. SNIT can say I've defamed them. I don't care.
Well, they said they were doing this in the interest of you and I.
Oh, definitely not in I didn't think it was in my interest. And if they had come to ask me, I would have said no. Is that the only person who can buy these shares of SNIT?
That's former Chief Justice Sophia Ekofo there. On the issues of sanitation, she says the sanitation ministry is a useless ministry which should not have been created in the first place.
Part of the problems we have in this country is a lot of things, and sometimes you even end up with duplication. Duplication of rules, duplication of regulation, duplication of institutions. Because we're not allowing the law to work. And if we feel that the existing, if the existing law or the existing regulation is passé, has been overtaken by events, you don't lament. We are a parliamentary democracy. You propose to Parliament, and Parliament, and you justify to Parliament, and you change the act. But we have so many things are not working. Let's take sanitation. What sanitation law don't we have? What ordinances from the days of ordinances to regulations all the way to date? What enactments don't we have? What departments don't we have?
We have a ministry for that matter.
Which was so totally unnecessary, because it's not a ministry that is going to do the work. Sanitation is the work of local government.
Sanitation ministry is an unnecessary ministry.
Absolutely. What have they done?
They were pursuing the president's promise of making Accra the cleanest city.
Is it? Isn't it dirtier than it was before the ministry was set up? Isn't it? When was the last time you even saw any, other than neighborhoods getting together to clean gutters? When was the last time you saw a sanitation worker doing anything? It's been, for me, I haven't seen one on my road or in my neighborhood.
They actually take tolls from the market people, you know that, to
But that's for cleaning the market. Yes, and half the time it's the market women themselves who end up doing the cleaning, and they have to talk before they are even given the proper sizable tips in which to put the rubbish, and it piles up and it piles up and it piles up. One of the dirtiest and the most, for as far as I'm concerned, the biggest public health risk areas is our markets. When during the COVID, when they went and fumigated, and God knows when how many fumigations have taken place since then. Certainly before then, maybe they had never been fumigated. Did you see the cat-sized rats or puppy-sized rats
we're running around
that we saw on the television? I took one look and looked away because it was just too much.
As former Chief Justice Sophia Ekofo there, in the first of a 4-part interview that I had with him earlier exclusively. It's going to be hearing serialized parts of these interviews here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7 and subsequent bulletins. We're also live on Kesme 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, and also on W 93.5 in Wa and beyond. 29 minutes to the top of the hour, 6 p.m. We're going to get into issues relating to the IPAC meeting earlier today, and also matters arising related to what the NDC has also been raising concerns about, plus the MPP's responses to them as well here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. The Information Ministry has justified the payment of over 150,000 cedis to some staff who worked during the COVID-19 lockdown. This follows concerns raised by the Auditor General in his COVID-19 transactions report for the period of March 20 to June 2022, questioning the basis for such remuneration. The Auditor General Johnson Ekwamwa Esiedu subsequently directed that the Information Ministry refunds a little over 151,000 paid to its own management and staff without approval. Well, the Director of Finance and Monitoring at the Ministry of Information, Maoli Segbefia, says the money was meant to motivate staff during the COVID period.
When the country was locked down, most officers of MDAs were required to stay at home.
Yes.
Yes, but the Ministry of Information was required to report to work every day, and as part of the response to the COVID fight. And so we needed to motivate those staff who came daily to office to help develop the COVID-19 response plan for the communication. Mr. Chair, the allowances were part of the plan that was submitted to the Ministry of Health for approval.
So Ministry of Health approved the allowances, approved the plan, that include allowances?
Yes, yes, Honorable.
Where did you budget for that allowance?
Yes, Honorable, you would recall that during that time when the country was locked down.
So that's Director of Finance and Monetary and the Information Minister, Marley Segwefia, answering questions at the Public Accounts Committee.
Let's return to our story about the NDC asking the Electoral Commission to correct some figures the figures the EC put out earlier about eligible voters for this year's general election. We're joined by the Director of Elections for the NPP, Evans Nimakon. Good evening to you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening. Thank you for having me.
I believe you were at the IPAC meeting today. I'm wondering what your stance is on the discrepancies, as it were, in the figures presented by the Electoral Commission in Parliament recently when she appeared before the members.
Well, thank you very much once again. I think today the conversation at IPAC was just one agenda, and it has to do with the mop-up registration exercise the EC intends to conduct in next month between 1st and 3rd for people who are yet to be registered to get onto the electoral roll. I think on the issue of other concerns, the NDC brought up the issue of the EC website, that if you look at the 2020 total registered voters and you add the limited registration exercise of 2023 and that of 2024, their figures give them a certain difference of about 26,000, and that they expect the EC to respond to the difference. It is at that point that the EC informed members that in the next IPAC meeting, they will bring their IT people for some explanations to be given, and also ensure that they will update their website. So I don't know where this is coming from, but the truth of the matter is that all parties present, GCPP, LPG, NDP, CPP, NDC, other development partners, were at IPAC today. And I can forward to you the agenda for today. This issue of discrepancy, today was not discussion of total figures of registered voters. It's just the NDC that brought that.
So that wasn't on the agenda. Nonetheless, it came up. Aren't you concerned as the governing party that there seems to be discrepancies in the number of eligible voters put out by the Electoral Commission as against previous figures the EC itself put out?
Well, for me and for us as New Patriotic Party, there are germane issues. We are supposed to be giving copies of all the registered voters. The EC, per its timeline, will have this mop-up exercise done, after which you know the exact number of registered voters per polling station. But for us, as we speak, we have for each polling station registered voters, because we knew the numbers as of 2020. We knew the numbers when the EC conducted limited registration exercise in 2023, and the additional ones that were done in 2024. And so we wait and get the mop-up figures, and then we can know, because when you are going to elections, you must be very serious and
well, I come to speak with you, but this is for cutaways. Well, I come to speak with you, but this is for cutaways.
And even today,
well, I come to speak with you, but this is for cutaways.
Today was not a platform for discussion of registered voters on the electoral roll.
Nonetheless, Mr. Nimako, the question I asked earlier was, as a governing political party, are you not concerned that there seems to be discrepancies? And putting the NDC aside, the NDC did it. I mean, we spoke with the Deputy Director of Elections some minutes ago before you came on, and he said per their calculations, the NDC got a difference of about 25,000 less. When we did our own calculations based on the figures the Electoral Commission has provided, we had around 35,000. So the question I asked earlier is, yes, it wasn't on the agenda, but it seems to have come up. As a governing party, are you not concerned?
We are very much concerned with the main issues. And what is available to us, we are working with it until we are done with the mop-up exercise. And we are very much aware of all issues. Bear in mind that there are timelines within which the Electoral Commission must furnish us with data available to them, based upon which we will go into the next election. And so the NDC is at liberty to raise their concern. But I can assure you that and let you know that when the NDC raised the issue, the EC mentioned it to them that they should also bear in mind the list of the exceptional list and multiple lists and all those ones. And having been finished with the issue that in the next IPAC meeting, they will make available their figures from the IT, I think that should suffice. But for us as New Patriotic Party, we are mindful of the figures, the actual figures, because, mind you, in all the limited registration exercises, the EC undertook, we had our agents and we matched our figures with that of the EC.
Having said that, and that's just my last question to you, the NDC says it's going to ensure that the figures the Electoral Commission has are accurate. Is this something that the MPP will be supporting ahead of the 2024 general election to ensure that all of you are at par as regards these figures?
The figures that will come from the EC must be accurate in all instances. And I'm happy you mentioned that when you did your check, you had a difference of 35,000, and NDC is giving us 25,000. So which is which? That is why it is important that you wait for the body close with the capacity and authority to furnish you with that. But for us as New Patriotic Party, we have gone into 2020 elections. We monitored the 2023 registration exercise and 2024. And you think we don't have our figures? But we will not in any way create any unnecessary things. Today, the discussion has to do with mop-up registration exercise.
Ms. Nimako, do I get the understanding that, because this is like the fourth time you're mentioning this in the interview, you think that what the NDC did today was just causing unnecessary diversion, as it were, at this meeting?
Very, very well so. Very well so.
If they are not comfortable with figures and they think that they need to draw the EC's attention to figures that are not accurate, and they have the opportunity to meet the Electoral Commission now, why should they wait until the EC says this is what is on the agenda?
But they didn't tell you that they've written to the EC for a copy of the register. They didn't tell you that. They didn't. And so I'm saying that we will not really spend our resources on positions taken by the NDC. We know what the law indicates, and that is exactly what we are pursuing. And I'm saying for us as New Patriotic Party, we are very mindful of every provision in the CI 91, CI 127, as well as the 126.
We'll have to end it here. Thank you very much, Evans Nimako, Director of Elections for the governing New Patriotic Party.
It's live here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, also on Kesme 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, also on W 93.5 in Y and beyond this evening. As a Member of Parliament for the Sige constituency, Christian Colette Otutai, is vowing to deploy every means at its disposal to halt the laying as well as the adoption of the Joint Parliamentary Committee report on the mining lease granted Electrochem Ghana Limited in relation to the salt mining in the Adansongo Lagoon. The report, which was laid in Parliament yesterday, has been okayed in terms of the agreement, and according to the Member of Parliament, says there is no factual or legal basis to tinker with the 3 mining leases granted the company. Parliament, if you recall, in November 2020 ratified the mining agreement empowering Electrochem to undertake salt mining in the Adansongo Salt Lagoon for the next 15 years. The concession area is approximately 41,000 acres. Residents have resisted the project, resulting in protests, attacks, and deaths of some community leaders. The Joint Parliamentary Committee was tasked to look into the matter. The committee was emphatic in its report that government cannot interfere with the agreement, as there was no basis for any such move. The report also recommended, amongst others, that Electrochem should consider continuing with the allocation of some space to local miners. This should be undertaken according to environmental laws, continuous stakeholder engagement. Political pundits should desist from making political capital out of the use of national assets. Well, Parliament is expected to debate and adopt the report today. And already, Member of Parliament for the Sege constituency vehemently disagrees with the committee. He told Beatrice earlier today that he will do everything possible to ensure the report is rejected by Parliament. We'll bring you that shortly here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7, also live on Kesme 107.1 in Tamale and beyond, also on W93.5 in Wa and beyond. Beatrice, let's shift our attention to CTAG, because the Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana, CTAG, are to hold an emergency meeting today to deliberate on the outcome of a meeting held yesterday between the Education Ministry and the striking teachers. The strike, which began on June 14, has already caused significant disruption to academic activity across the 46 colleges of education in the country, with most students leaving their various campuses, while some are adopting and also opting for an extension of academic calendar beyond the September 7 day. Some say an increase in the credit hours will rather make up for the lost time. Grace Amojuman has been engaging some students at the Accra College of Education earlier today.
Yes, level 400 students are really going through a lot, because if you consider the current rent, the rate at which the rent has gone, and then these people have already agreed with the various landlords and landladies of the various apartments to leave and then vacate those homes on the 7th of September. And then we have this strike action coming to play, making it uneasy for them, because they are even unable to determine when the number of days that will be added, so that they would talk to their house owners and then renew the rent. And if in any case they are renewing the rent, that is extra cost. It was no fault of the student that the strike has come to play. It's because government is not heeding to the demands of CTAG, and then CTAG is equally not ready to come back to the classroom. That is why we are here. So the students are really disadvantaged when you look at it.
Actually, I'm from the north, and because of the distance, I'm still on campus. So, and there's been a lot of spending going on. We're expecting that the strike could take a week or two, but it's been a month and two. There is nothing going on. The studies has been distorted, our learning, the calendar, I'm even sure. And our fear is that they might even bring exam for us, right, which we haven't been taught of anything. The lectures just came up just 1 week and they went back. So we are pleading to the government that they should do the needful and let our teachers come back to us, because it's really having an effect on us and not the lecturers.
Well, some students at the Accra College of Education. Meanwhile, the Education Minister, Dr. Yao Sedrichum, has been speaking about the outcome of the meeting yesterday and the resolution going forward. Take a listen.
Discussions today with CTAG, we've made great progress, and I'm very happy to report to you that we've made great progress. And very soon you'll hear from us.
The progress, is it that the strike has been called off, or what progress are you talking about?
We've made giant strides, and I'm happy about the discussion we've had today. All that I will say is that we've made great progress.
Well, so that's the Education Minister talking about the great progress that has been made. Let's go on to the telephone now, and the National Secretary of the College of Education Teachers Association of Ghana, Thomas Ampoma, is joining us on the telephone. Mr. Ampoma, good evening. Thank you for joining us here on Hot Edition.
Good evening, Mr. Alfred. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. How are CTAG members doing?
They are doing well. They are doing great.
Except to say you've been on strike for so long. The cockerel behind you is making noise. I don't know where you are.
Yes. Thank you.
Great. Well, so there was a meeting yesterday. The Education Minister says great progress has been made. Did you have a meeting today to communicate to your members what had been decided on?
Thank you very much. I think yesterday we had a very long discussion and we made a lot of commitments that we wanted on paper, signed, and serve as a copy. After which we'll be able to meet our constituents and discuss what is on the table. We are yet to receive the commitments made, which is duly signed by the parties involved. So yesterday, the minister signed and the other stakeholders. So it was left with the finance ministry and the villages to sign. So they asked us to come and they forwarded the document to us as soon as all the signing is completed. We have yet to receive the document.
So with all the great progress that was made, you wanted it to be put on paper and signed by the minister before you meet your constituents.
That was the agreement. So
and that document has not been made available to you as yet?
Yes. Yesterday, they prepared the document. We all read through it, and it came to agreement. So the signings were done. There were two key stakeholders to sign. That's the finance ministry, the villages, as well as teaching. They were at the meeting. So they said they would look for them to sign. After they signed, a rep in our back, they would call and give me a copy. So that tomorrow we can meet our council members and take a decision.
I see. So by tomorrow, if you get a document, that's when you convene a meeting of your council.
Yes, already have shared a Zoom link with them, which is 9 p.m. Because according to yesterday's meeting, we were supposed to get the document to give by 12 noon, so that we can wait on it to have our meeting tomorrow morning and communicate.
Ms. Abama, if you can reposition yourself for me. Okay. Your line is breaking.
Okay. Is it okay?
I think it's better. Yes. You were saying that you've shared the Zoom link to your members?
Yes.
To join for a meeting at what time tomorrow?
The meeting is supposed to come on at 9 a.m.
9 a.m.
Yes. Provided we get the documents from me.
Okay. So that meeting would only take place tomorrow if you get the document from the Ministry of Education.
Exactly. Of course, that was the agreement. Because without that document, any concrete evidence of the outcome of the meeting, communicate who are the communicators, because they asked us to go on the street. They have to get a document for the
Ms. Ampoma, your line is a bit cranky. In fact, it's getting worse. So we'll call you with another line right now, okay? Thank you. That's Thomas Ampoma, is National Secretary of the Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana, CTAG, talking to us there. There's supposed to be a meeting tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. amongst the CTAG Council. That's the membership of CTAG, where we understand a decision is expected to be communicated after that meeting tomorrow. But that meeting tomorrow would only happen if CTAG receives a document, a signed document from the Education Ministry, committing itself to the said strides that the minister indicated have been achieved as of yesterday. Now, let's go on to other line, see if Mr. Mpoma, if you can hear me. Hello?
Yes, Alfred, I can hear you now.
Perfect. Let's see if this sustains the connection. You're saying that 9 a.m. tomorrow, you're expected to have a Zoom conversation with your council members. That would only happen if and only if you receive a signed document from the Education Ministry that details the agreements that you reached yesterday at the meeting. And I want to find out if these agreements that you reached, does it address the issues why you've been on strike all this while?
Exactly. The exact issue that we reached, we address it perfectly. So we want that commitment, we want that document, be able to send that to our members as evidence of commitment, which has timelines, and we can communicate, and then they will take a decision from it there.
I see. Is there any reason why, as of the end of today, it's almost 6 p.m., you have still not received the document that you said you were given copies yesterday? During that meeting with the Education Ministry, you looked through it. You only wanted them to sign. And it's been one full day. You haven't received the document. What's happening?
Yes, we have asked our rep in Accra. He went to the ministry, and they said they are still looking for the officers to sign. In fact, the officer from finance who's and the finance fair wages, we have the CEO, that's the engineer Benata. So these were the two people that were supposed to sign for the document. Employment and Labor have signed. GTEC signed, and the PECOF also signed. CITAC have signed its portion. We are left with the Finance Ministry and the fair wages for it to be complete.
I see. And as we speak, you have not received your July salaries?
Actually, I don't think they have paid any salaries. I know by next week that salaries will be paid, but I don't know anything about salaries.
What about the allowances?
No, none of the allowances have been paid. Even what they've given us in the document that we are yet to receive, they are saying that the payment can be done from somewhere 9th August, going thereabout.
I see. I asked this because there was an earlier directive from the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission to the controller not to pay you the June salary, correct?
Yeah, we saw that.
And so, have you received your June salaries?
That's why I'm saying that salaries have not been paid.
Okay,
so we cannot confirm whether it is paid or not.
But your June salary should have been paid by now. We're in July.
Yeah, after June we were paid.
Okay.
June, we don't have any problem with June salaries.
I see. Even though you declared...
The letter they wrote is about July salaries.
Okay, so even though you declared the strike on the 14th of June, you received your June salary full?
Yes, actually, the strike is an illegal strike. If you look at labor law, you have a legal strike.
Yes.
When the worker is on a legal strike, the employer cannot say you will not pay the worker.
In fact, I'm not...
The Labour Commission declared the strike as legal.
Yes.
On the 20th of June.
Great. And I'm not contesting that. I'm only asking, and on the basis of that, also to find out why GTEC then issues this directive that you should not be paid for the month of July. Did your leadership engage?
In fact, maybe they thought that we are not listening to them. In actual fact, they have made that problem to compound because it's over 19 months now, and they are not making any headway in paying what the Labour Commission asked them to pay to us. So I don't know why they want to force us to go back, why they don't want to fulfill their part of the bargain.
Well, Ms. Mpoma, let's see how tomorrow goes, because you're saying that you would only have this meeting with your members tomorrow if and only if you receive the signed document with the assurances made to you at the meeting yesterday. So we'll keep an eye on that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alfred. Thank you very much.
Thomas Ampoma is National Secretary of the Colleges of Education Teachers Association of Ghana, CTAG. Let's go back to earlier story. A member of Parliament for the Sege constituency, Christian Otute, is vowing to deploy every means at his disposal to halt the laying as well as the adoption of the Joint Parliamentary Committee report on the mining lease granted Electrochem Ghana Limited, owned by Daniel Macaulay, popularly known as Magdan. Take a listen to the Sege MP.
I thought satisfied with the report being ready for laying today, which if I have the means, I'll block it totally to be laid, not even to come to the floor. Because one of the clear reasons are we were all key stakeholders were asked to submit papers on their concerns, which I did. In their referral or their references, they did not even make use. You can see that my name was missing there. That means they didn't take in my input, a key member as the MP. 2, there are issues of compensation. People bought out 2-3 years ago before this company came, and he agreed that he will compensate them. So because if he comes in with all liability and everything. Now, till now, they have not settled or compensated some of these people who are small business women who use all their money to buy salt, and they are hoping that Electrochem will refund or supply them. The idea was to give them their salt. Till now, they have not. And you can imagine a businesswoman, a small-scale businesswoman who buys maybe 20,000 or 50,000 salt for 3 years, that all the money is locked there and it's not refunded. How would the person exist from 3 years ago?
Christian Otuta is a Sege member of Parliament. We're going to go for the business news shortly, but before that, we'll tell you about Dewa and why you should be smiling going into the evening. Shall we?
Indeed, and step into the world of Dewa 539 for your chance to win big with Dewa Direct and Dewa Chop Money. With Dewa Direct, dial *446 hash, pick 1 to 39 and win 20 times, 40 times or 400 times your stake, and win cash every evening at 7 p.m. and on Sundays at 6 p.m. Early birds love Dewa Chop Money at 10 a.m. Dial *446 hash, choose 1 to 39 and win 20 times, 40 times or 400 times. Play at dewa-nla.com or dial *446 hash. Need help? Call 055-6259-249 or 053-2479-879. Dewa Afa.
Hello, good evening. It's time now for the business segment on Hot Edition with me, Bismarck. Also coming up tonight, Finance Ministry attributes slow pace in economic recovery amid ongoing IMF program to informal sector's dominance. We will bring you details. Thanks for your company. Now to our very first story, Finance Ministry has justified its mid-year budget presented to Parliament. A Deputy Minister, Dr. Stephen Amoah, says, considering the economic indicators compared to the crisis period, the country is on a path of recovery. He, however, says the performance is not as expected because the economy is largely driven by the informal sector.
Commodity Risk Index is about 1. It means that they have very strong positive correlation with the economic performance. So practically, that's the truth. So it's not like you're lying. It's not like there's no genuine reason. It doesn't also mean it's acceptable. But the fact is that our market does not readily react or go with the economic movement or growth or performance. And we need to accept that. So those of you that are making those comments, you are right. But we assure you gradually we will get there. Development is a process. And of course, if you get into very serious illness and you are healing, it starts gradually. Maybe you are vomiting, you are not eating, you are growing lean, you can't do anything. But you start getting healed. And they see that now you don't vomit. You are eating small. So we realize that the economy is now coming back to life. And
that was a Deputy Minister of Finance, Dr. Stephen Amoah. The Ghana Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative, GETI, has expressed concerns over the government's handling of the case involving ENI, Vitol, and Springfield. According to GETI co-chair, Dr. Steve Mantiao, the government's position was unnecessary and could have an adverse impact on the future of investments in Ghana's already struggling petroleum sector. In April 2020, the Minister of Energy directed that the Afina oil block held by Springfield E&P and the Sankofa field operated by ENI and Vitol should be unitized because the two oil blocks were set to straddle. However, ENI and Vitol contested this decision in the London Court of International Arbitration.
The antagonism that we sometimes also get into is not helpful in bringing in new investments. The recent arbitration that we saw with ENI, between ENI and Springfield, and the government positioning on that, for me, it's not something that was needless. It could have been resolved without international arbitration if we were minded to do so. Now, going through international arbitration and coming out the way we did actually sends the wrong signals to would-be investors in Ghana. So we need to be careful how we handle some of these things. So there are a myriad of issues, and we have actually addressed or raised some of them in these reports that we launched today. Data quality, size of the block, predictability of the regulatory regime, respect for stability provisions, and stuff like that. We need to be able to create the conducive environment for companies to want to invest in Ghana.
And that was co-chair of Ghana Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative, GETI, Dr. Steve Mantiao. Before we go, Chief Executive of the Ghana Free Zones Authority, Michael Okoye Jr., has assured the country's continuous commitment to promoting affordable, cleaner energy options to drive industrialization. He spoke at the launch of a 16.8 megawatt solar power project at the Tema Free Zone Enclave, aimed at bridging the energy gap for industries and providing affordable, cleaner energy solutions to enhance productivity.
It is essential to recognize the pressing global need for clean energy. As the Ghana Free Zones Authority, we pledge to do everything within our power to support the operations of Helios Solar Company Limited and similar enterprises in the future. We recognize the potential for larger solar farms, not only within the Tema Enclave, but across other places of industrialization and parks in the country. Together, we can amplify our efforts and harness the sun's powerful rays to illuminate a prosperous path forward.
Chief Executive of the Ghana Free Zones Authority, Michael Okoye Jr., ending the business segment on Hot Edition with me, Bismarck Ausa. For more business stories, please log on to 3news.com. Kelvin Owusu-Ansah is here for the sport. Do stay.
It's time for sports here on Hot Edition. My name is Kelvin Oates. Once again, getting into some stories that are making waves. But let's start with the Olympics, which is currently ongoing with the women's football event. Nigeria playing against Brazil, and as it stands now, it's goalless after the first 60 minutes. So Brazil scored the opener just a moment ago with Nunes with a 37th minute finish in the lead. Spain earlier defeated Japan by 2-1, and Germany currently leading Australia by 1-0. Canada defeated New Zealand women by 2-1. Later on, France will be playing against Colombia at 7 p.m. There is USA against that is Zambia also at 7 p.m. So these are the games that will be coming up in that particular event. But let's continue with some bits of the athletics that will be coming up. But before then, there's Pep Guardiola who's been speaking about some of his players getting a very raw deal in the last couple of days, but believes that his midfielder Jack Grealish will come better this season if given the opportunity to shine.
It's really good. I think I'm coming back perfect and with the same happiness and the same unbelievable attitude with the group. And hopefully he can do a good season to push his mates to deserve a place in the team, to want to play as much regular like it happened 2 seasons ago and all that season. And absolutely depends on him. So all the players depends on him, not on my decisions.
Not in his decisions, according to Pep Guardiola. Now, Andy Murray says he's not going to play the Olympic singles, but he's going to feature in the doubles with Dan Evans, and they're going to play against Japan's Taro Daniel and Kei Nishikori. He explains why he is bowing out of the singles championship.
There's a number of reasons for that. I mean, well, one is that physically, I think my body's ready to stop. Mentally, I'm ready to finish playing, and the Olympics is also an event that is really special to me. I've loved being part of this team over the last 4 or 5 Olympic Games, and I'm happy that I get to finish playing here. Spoke to them about it last year, and I'd spoke to them about it earlier this year, and I was still unsure about it. I felt like I was going to finish this summer, whether that be after Wimbledon or after the Olympics. It just felt like it was the right time. I got the injury to my ankle in March, and then obviously got the back injury at Queen's and had to have the operation. And although, like I said, I was unsure a few months ago about whether I wanted to stop, I knew after I had to have the surgery on my back that it was the right time because my body's been through a lot the last few years, a lot of injuries and surgeries and stuff, and body was ready, mind was ready, and I'm happy about it.
We're all very happy about that. He's ready to get the very best out of this. Well, we just hope that he continues that way. But let's do some more stories regarding the Olympics. And Paula Radcliffe has apologized for wishing convicted rapists the luck in the Paris 2024 Olympics. Well, according to the former marathon winner, she is very sorry for wishing Steven van de Velde, who was named in the Netherlands beach volleyball squad for Paris 2024, being selected to 4 years in prison in 2016 after pleading guilty to raping a 12-year-old British girl when he was 19. The Dutchman who met his victim on Facebook traveled from Amsterdam to the UK and raped the girl at an address in Milton Keynes. So a very unfortunate one in there from him. Now let's get into some more football news. Nusayr Mazraoui is expected to leave FC Bayern Munich to join West Ham United. Sources reveal that if the deal goes through, the Hammers will pay an initial €16 million euros for the 26-year-old, with a potential further €3.5 million being an add-on. And while talks of personal terms are continuing for a player who's been linked with a number of clubs this summer, including Manchester United. Now let's move on to some stories regarding some stories regarding the transfer news, but there's a lot more on Pep Guardiola, who's been speaking about his team, but her focus on Enzo Maresca's Chelsea. Pep believes that he's going to get better after Chelsea conceded twice to defensive mistakes, trying to play out from the back. But according to Enzo Maresca, he's going to work on that and resolve that issue after their 2-2 draw with Wrexham in the friendly.
Very good. Was first game.
And to be honest, very happy because we just started 2 weeks ago. So the team was doing in some moment the things that we are working since day one. So quite happy. Yeah, absolutely. It's normal that this moment of the season, the right moment is still a little bit not the perfect one, but in terms of concept idea, the team was very good.
Well, the team was very good. Joseph Polamwa is looking forward to being Ghana's flag bearer at the 2024 Paris Olympics as the flag bearer together with Rosa Mwenima Yeboah. He has been speaking about the games and how he intends to really lead the team to some success despite the limited number of competitions and events that Ghana will be participating in.
We just, like you said, it's just positive vibes over here. We just can't wait to go out there and then showcase our talent. We've trained really well. God being so good, there have not been any injuries. So we know when we are healthy, we know what we could do. So we're just trying to make sure that we go out there and then compete and, try to put smiles on Ghanaians' faces. Yeah, I think we're number 5 on the world rankings, but we're not going to be too complacent about that. Number 5 means on paper you should be able to be in the finals. So we're just going to make sure we take it race by race, go into the heats, make it to the finals, then we'll start thinking about medals. But we want to make sure that we go in there, try to execute the stick passing. It's not about how fast your team is, it's about how efficient the stick moves around. So we want to make sure that we discipline with that, make it to the finals, and then when we get there, we'll fight for a medal.
So that is it there from Joseph Polamwa. Some local news as Antico Togo expected to put a major facelift to the Adako Jachev training complex to an ultra-modern training facility. Well, in a message to the fans on Twitter, the Porcupines have revealed that there's going to be a major construction works that will come up at the club's training complex at Adako Jachev, which has only 2 pitches without any dressing room and other facilities that are expected to be very modern for a football club. But the Porcupines are going to play against Mediama Sporting Club in a friendly to inaugurate there. That is the TNA Park, that is the Takwa Anaboso Park that has been constructed by Goldfields Ghana Limited. This game is expected to be played on the 16th of August 2024. Now, Joseph Esso has committed his future to Accra Heart to Folk by Dreams FC by signing a deal until 2026. So it's a 2-year deal for the former Heart to Folk forward who returned to play for Dreams Football Club. So he's staying with Dreams for the next 2 years. And also, there is Benjamin Asari of Accra Heart to Folk. Former Accra Great Olympics shotstopper Benjamin Asari has committed his future to the Phobians. Yes, he was with Olympics, but after relegation, Benjamin Asari becomes the number 1 shotstopper as Heart to Folk are trying to deal away with the 3 goalkeepers they have. That is Richard Atta, Eric Oforienchi, and then Richmond Ayi. So these are the latest news coming in there from the local scene. My name is Calvin Osuansa. Hot Edition continues after this.
Early every weekday because of you, to keep you on top of your game. Yeah!
You are at the center of our universe. That's why we make it a duty to serve you only the freshest, hottest news and entertainment. When you want it, where you want it.
Good morning, Ghana, Africa, and the rest of the wonderful world. Welcome to Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. Start your day well informed. Start with us on Sunrise on 3FM 92.7. Catch the all-new Sunrise Morning Show on 3FM 92.7 with me, Johnny Hughes, Helen Apiambofo. Weekdays from 5:55 a.m. to 10 a.m. only on 3FM 92.7.
3FM, your urban lifestyle radio.
Radio Development Show Host of the Year, 2016-2017.
And the winner is John Hughes. Check.
Hi, my name is Johnny Hughes, your community rights advocate, and I'm still on the quest to bring smiles into your communities with Community Connect on 3FM 92.7. Join me this and every Friday morning at 9 a.m. right here on 3FM, and together we will solve the problems bothering your communities.
I know your program is a program that always get a result. Myself, I'm a witness to that.
What can we do to help your community today in terms of education, health, sanitation, security, and all the issues in between from your community's perspective? Tune in to Community Connect every Friday morning at 9 a.m. as we get interactive live on radio and on Twitter at 3FM 927 and on Facebook at 3FM 92.7. Community Connect, helping solve your community problems.
When it comes to the world of sports, what does complete mean to you?
When my team scores at the end of a 30-plus passing sequence, like Pep Guardiola style.
When someone beats the buzzer from a shot from the logo, like Steph Curry.
Dominating opponents and punching my way to a knockout, like Africa's greatest boxer, Azuma Nelson.
Running so fast that I can afford to celebrate midway through a 100-meter race and smash the world record like Usain Bolt.
Hold up. What makes all of these sports complete is the screen. This is where you get access to extensive analysis, insights, and highlights.
So join us every Sunday at 6 p.m. live on 3FM 92.7 as we serve you the most satisfying buffet in the world of sports. The 3 Sports team will come together to review, preview, and analyze the latest in sports on Sports Ultras.
Thank you very much, Kelvin Owusu-Ansah, for bringing us the latest in sports. And you're still here on Hot Edition on 3FM 92.7. Welcome to Campaign Trail. On Campaign Trail tonight, we go to the camp of the opposition National Democratic Congress, and that party is launching its campaign on Saturday, July 27 in Tamale in the northern region. Christopher Marco is our correspondent there. He joins us live on the line. Christopher, what can you tell us as regards preparations so far as you've seen?
Yeah, so Beatrice, preparations are ongoing. Party paraphernalia have been mounted at vantage points. Everything is going on well according to the regional and national executives who have since arrived in the greater Tamale metropolis. A lot of preparations have gone into this event. We are waiting for them to come, and so everything is going on well, and the preparation.
So just tell us, I mean, beyond what you've seen, I'm wondering what supporters of the party are saying about what's about to happen in that part of town.
Yes, supporters of the party, most of them have actually arrived, especially those from Accra, Kumasi. Hotels have all been booked, and what they are waiting for is that the campaign should be launched for them to storm the various areas to canvass for votes for the party. The party leadership, national executives have been telling me that the NDC flag bearer wants to start his campaign from the north, and so that is why they are launching the campaign in Tamale, so that from there to start from home, and they believe that Tamale is one of the strongholds of the NDC. The North, as a whole, is the stronghold of NDC, and they are optimistic that come December 7th, everybody will come out to vote for the NDC. But this is to tell the whole world that the North is for NDC and NDC is for the North.
Christopher, I'm just again wanting to find out, and that's my last question to you, whether there have been changes in business activities. I can assume that hotels are being booked, people are preparing to cash in on what's going to happen on Saturday.
Definitely, some businesses will thrive by Saturday. We talk about food industry, we talk about hotels, we talk about the smoke, northern smoke, and so a lot of them are beginning to pick camp at the Jubilee Park, awaiting the event day for them to also cash in.
Thank you very much, Christopher Amwako. He's our Northern Regional Correspondent. We're joined by Mohammed Salam. He's the Northern Regional Secretary of the NDC. Good evening to you, sir. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening, and thank you for having me.
We've just heard our reporter painting a picture for us what's happening in Tamale ahead of the party's campaign launch. But just wanted to find out, though, any specific reason the NDC chose to do this in the northern region, aside from the fact that it's your headquarters, it's a stronghold of the NDC. Is it because perhaps the NPP is having a flag bearer coming from the northern part of the country?
Well, one cannot say that it's not one of the reasons for which we are having our launch in the north. It is almost as if the 2024 elections is going to be decided up north. And up north being the stronghold of the NDC, we will want to prove to our rank and file, and for that matter, the entire nation, Ghana, that the NDC can only grow stronger up north. There's no way the candidacy of Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia should be allowed to affect the NDC showing in the north. So for us who are party people up north, it comes to us as one huge feather in our cap, a huge motivation to get us to double our efforts in ensuring that even the inroads that the NPP had made up north in constituencies are reversed hugely to reinstate the NDC's strength as far as the northern region is concerned.
Let me find out from you how campaign preparations are going ahead of this event internally.
Well, currently, as I speak to you, we are busily engaging youth in communities across the greater Tamale, and then some national officers have just arrived. You can talk about the national organizer, deputy general secretary, deputy national organizer, Obobia Daku, Joyce Bauer, a lot of them. They are all in Tamale, and we are doing the engagements with them. And the excitement and the reactions are huge. It is as if they cannot wait for the Saturday, which is slated for the event. A lot more people would have wished that the event was coming up tonight. But nonetheless, we have to wait for Saturday.
What about security agencies? How are you collaborating with them to ensure that this is incident-free?
All the necessary arrangements have been made with the security already, you know. We are supposed to formally notify the police in compliance with the Public Order Act, and the police have given their okay to arrangements. They have been to the venue with us. We've surveyed the place, and we've agreed on the kind of security that should be provided for the Saturday event.
So you can say all is set for this event?
By His grace, all is set.
Thank you very much. And that was Mohammed Abdul Salam. He's the Regional Secretary for the NDC in the Northern Region. And that will be it for Campaign Trail here on Hot Edition on Shri FM 92.7.